All right, guys, so what we're going to do in this video is we are going to re-implement the existing navbar that they've got created here in the documentation, and we're going to discuss each item as we do it. So, first of all, to discuss the abbreviations for large, medium, and small, these appear within Bootstrap specifically because Bootstrap is a responsive framework. And so in that context, small, medium, and large is going to refer to when that class should be active, if it's small, medium, or large, the page size, rather. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a responsive navigation or navbar. And how we're going to do this is destroy everything we've currently got. And you can see in the top here the button that they have. The first item within the navbar is the toggler button, which basically, when you get small enough, rather than show all of this content here, you're going to have a toggle button that you can toggle the menu down. It saves space and it's responsive friendly. So let's go ahead and add this button. So we're going to add a button, and the class that it's going to have is the toggler classes. And then it can also have navbar toggler left if you want it on the left, or a navbar toggler right. And this just changes the float value. So navbar dash toggler and navbar dash toggler dash right. The type we're going to set to button, and the data toggle is going to be collapsed, and the target, we're going to set the target to the actual navbar by ID. So, I'm going to have to skip a line here. So data toggle is going to be collapse, and then data target is going to be my nav, which is camel cased. And there we go. Now in here, Bootstrap has a built-in toggler icon. So go ahead and add span class navbar dash toggler dash button or icon. And that's all you need to do for that. Now if I save and refresh this, and as we get smaller, we now have a toggler button. It doesn't toggle anything yet because we don't have anything to toggle yet. So jumping back to it, let's go ahead and add our brand here underneath the button. So href is going to be a hash symbol because we don't actually want to go anywhere. And the class is going to be navbar-brand. I'm just going to put my name in there. Now, the actual responsive part of the navbar is it's placed into a collapse, a navbar collapse class, which has both collapse and navbar collapse as the collapses, and then the ID of it. So if we inspect here, the data target is going to be navbar supported content, and navbar area controls is going to be navbar supported content, area expanded is false, etc., etc. You can add a title to it as well if you want. We're not going to go that far. So now under the A element, let's go ahead and add the div that is going to be toggleable. So the class gets collapse, navbar, collapse. And then the ID, which is going to be my nav. Now, this entire thing is going to be collapsible. So let's go ahead and create the main navigation for our site, which is going to be an unordered list with the class of navbar-nav. And there we go. Let's start adding list items. So again, in the Bootstrap 4-way, you need to add nav item class to each li, and to each href, or to each A element, you need to add the class of nav-link. So again, let's go ahead and add another one with the class nav-item, and the A element with a class of nav-link. Let's say about, and then one more the elements get nav dash link and contact. So if we save this and refresh, now we've got a nav bar with all of the regular elements. And what happens is when you pull this smaller than the page width of somewhere around 1,000 pixels, 992 it is, you get this icon. When you click this, nothing happens yet. We need to include jQuery and the JavaScript, or the Bootstrap's JavaScript. So go ahead. I'm going to write cdn jQuery. We're going to grab it from a content delivery network rather than... So I'm going to take the slim minified version, right-click, copy link address, and then in my index.html file, just before the body tag, I'm going to go ahead and write script source. It's going to be that. And now we can include the Bootstrap minified JavaScript. Script source JS, because it's in our JavaScript directory, bootstrap.min.js. We're going to save this, refresh our page, and now Bootstrap tooltips require tether. Let's go to tether.io. And let's, do they have a CDN? Probably not. Let's just download the zip, open it up, go into the dist directory, and there's a JS and a CSS directory. We're going to copy both of them over to our top level directory, and what should happen is they should merge with the existing CSS and JavaScript directory. Maybe I have to extract them first. There we go, into dist, CSS, and JavaScript. Let's paste those in there. There we've got tether. And in the CSS directory, there's tether, but none of these got copied over. So I'm going to copy these, and in the CSS directory, I'm going to paste them there. There we go. So in the index.html file, let's go ahead and add in tether. So link rel is going to be style sheet. href is going to be CSS tether.min.css, and then under here the bootstrap, or just before the bootstrap rather, we're going to include script source js tether.min.js and save it. Let's refresh our page now, and now that looks a little better. However, the toggle still doesn't work. And that's because we haven't added all the required data here. So let me, where is this? Navbar. In here, where it says data target my nav, as you'll see, we've left off, first of all, the hash symbol in there. We're also going to add the property area controls. And this tells it tells Bootstrap what this is supposed to control. So area-controls equals my nav. Now in this, you do not put the hash symbol. This is kind of like targeting it with jQuery. You would target it with the hash symbol because it's an ID. And then we're going to add one more property, area-expanded. It's going to be false. And I need to drop another line here. That's a big element. I'm going to save this, jump back over to our site and refresh. And now when you click it, we get that nice slide down of our menu. So as you can imagine, if you're looking at this on a mobile phone that would be about this big, you can go like that, and you'll see that it indeed makes the experience a little better. So that is the responsive utility of a navbar, as opposed to writing all your own CSS, which will include media queries. I believe we went over media queries in the CSS section, but if we didn't, it's basically a way to change class styling based on the page width or the width of the browser. So when you load up the page in your mobile phone, which has a smaller screen, it will change the way it looks based on that. Now, we're not going to add the form yet. We'll talk about this in the next video because I want to go over a few of the form things within Bootstrap. So instead of starting right here, we're going to jump way over to the forms section. And if you guys want to review this before we do the next video, that is great as well. There's a lot to this. There's a lot of things that you can do with forms.